Welcome to the Financial Trader's Mindset. We're going to run through the market here. I'm just going to give my opinion and my thoughts on what I think is going to happen. Of course, let that be known that I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict the future. I cannot predict where price is going to go. And anybody that tells you they know where price is going to go or are very certain with 100% accuracy, they're lying or selling something. I'm going to give my opinion and run through the market. Let's go through my watch list. I'm going to go through a macro overview. I just put this together. This would be nice to share with my followers or people looking to find an edge in this market. Maybe you're underallocated or feeling FOMO. Look at Bitcoin. That's the 5-minute chart. Look at this. If you're sidelined and you missed this move after we tapped 78K, I was buying a lot of Bitcoin, Ethereum. I bought a lot of Bitcoin through the ETF, through IBIT. Got like a $40 per share price average. And I sold most of it yesterday, around a $65 average. But that's a nice profit. I still have Bitcoin, just not as much. That doesn't mean I think the market's going to crash or this bull run is over. I buy and sell, rotate around a core. I maintain a long position for the macro, but put on more or less risk depending where I see the market heading. And the reason why I keep that core, because if I'm wrong and if I sell too much, I don't want to have that FOMO. So I'll keep that exposure. That way I'm not buying the top and selling the bottoms. That core position allows me to be relaxed, ride the waves, embrace the volatility. It's not a very large position. It's not large enough to where it's going to be making me excited when the market's at highs or having me in despair when the market is crashing. Bitcoin has hefty volatility. So you're probably wondering, well, okay, I did not buy down here. Now I'm FOMOing. I think it's going to go to 200K. I want to buy. I do not want to miss out on the final move. What if it goes to 200, 300, 400, $500,000? You don't want to miss that move, right? Especially if you consider yourself a crypto investor. You don't want friends and family to say, Bitcoin is doing amazing. Then you look at them like, I'm not in it. They're like, why not? Your single opinion means nothing. If there's an asset you like long-term, have some position you ride for years. As long as your original thesis and why you invested doesn't change, and you should be buying dips when the sentiment is very fearful. Everyone's calling for Bitcoin to go to zero. This is what I'm looking for. Now it's time to buy more. Check out my last video, just released before this one. I like to look at the M2 money supply, not every day, because this is a slow moving macro overview of where the money supply is. If we look here, 2022, we are breaking above that. Since November, December 2023, we've been printing money. New money supply has been coming into the market. What does that mean? That money has to go somewhere. Currency needs to flow. It goes into assets. When there's excess supply and ease of monetary policy, riskier assets, right? Now, don't get excited if you're sitting with 100% altcoin allocation thinking this is altcoin season. I don't see any hints of that. If you're a crypto investor, your portfolio should have some Bitcoin in it. Whether you're conservative on your risk or whether you're full on degen, you should have some percentage of your portfolio in Bitcoin. For the conservative type, at least 60 to 70%, even 90%, if you just don't want too much volatility. If you're full on aggressive degen, at least 20%, I would argue at least 30% of your portfolio in Bitcoin. 20% if you're ultra degen. If you have 0% in Bitcoin, you're feeling the pain, especially this bull run. You're probably, I'd say most people that have 100% in altcoins and no Bitcoin, they've probably seen little to no gains and most likely losses the past few years. You're probably in a loss, maybe break even or just barely above, not enough to make more than risk-free rate. The risk-free rate is 5%. You're not beating that. You were better off holding treasury bonds, money supply increasing. Shows we're starting to print money again. Central bank balance sheets. Let's look at the past. As far back as 2003, the Fed is accumulating assets. Of course, you get this big spike. I think this was 2008. Yep, 2008. This is my first time in a while that I've reviewed these charts. I will look at them every once in a while, every few months. You don't have to look every day because this is a monthly time frame. 2008, we had a print. Now, you can have your opinions. I'm not here to push my opinion. Nobody knows the alternate scenario. What if we didn't print? What if the Fed didn't step in with quantitative easing? What would have happened? Who knows? But the government and the Fed agreed upon was we cannot take the chance of our economy going into some depression that we may not have ever got out of. We have the petrodollar backed with oil. Everything was in our favor to print. To do nothing would have been a roll of the dice. Maybe we could have recovered organically and more in a natural way. A lot more companies would have went under. A lot more destruction would have happened in the beginning. It could take decades for the US to maintain that superpower, having the dollar as the top currency. Couldn't gamble with that. We printed to get out of that funk. And tapered off until 2011 from 2008. So not much printing, just using excess capital to rebuild companies and the economy. I remember they were doing like, giving people money for first-time home buyers and all that, right? So people were buying homes again. 2013, I remember this. I was trading the markets. I started trading the markets during the financial crisis in 2009. In 2013, the central bank was acquiring more assets, buying quantitative easing. They tapered off around 2015 during the taper tantrum. The Fed wasn't buying more assets, just trying not to inflate the economy. The market didn't like it. They said, we're tired of this crap. Jerome Powell was on, they were like, I need you to start printing or we're going to crash this market. The market wasn't agreeing with the taper. It's like a drug addict. Give them that initial euphoric taste, right? Feel that euphoric rise. This is a perfect chart to showcase this. Look, we doubled, the central bank doubled the assets on their balance sheet, bought a ton of assets. Money printing throughout the years wasn't as euphoric. And they're like, okay, bro, we need to taper you off of this thing, right? You don't need this much. Can you do a couple years? Tapered it off and the tantrum came. The Fed caved in. Boom. Here we go. And COVID. More quantitative easing. The Fed wanted to stop, go into quantitative tightening because inflation was high. We wanted our investments to go to the moon. Would you rather have 100% gain on your assets at a 20% inflation rate or a 2% inflation rate? Inflation will eat into your gains. People don't realize this and just care. They're not realizing what's happening on the back end. There's always a compromise in markets. Why not give up a little bit of time and hold while the Fed fights inflation? A few months ago, the Fed went from 25 billion of selling per month. They reduced that solid like 75% down to 5 billion. So they are now only selling 5 billion per month instead of 25 billion. That's interesting. There's not as much pressure in the market. Market likes that. It's not quantitative easing, but it's shifting. It's like a cruise ship. It's going to take time once they go into net zero in buying or selling, or they're starting to buy assets. The bull market's coming, at least for a solid 12 months. Right now, keep an eye on the FOMC minutes. See if that $5 billion number of selling goes down or up. That's all we need to see. Of course, rate cuts, but that's different. Rings true with $5 billion of selling per month as opposed to 25 billion. Just slowing down. Nothing yet. Nothing definitely in the bull market. Next, the crypto total market cap, excluding Bitcoin. This is the market cap of all crypto without Bitcoin. We have not broken new highs. It's actually still in its market. That right there should tell you I should not be sitting in altcoins right now. You've been at the same value since March 2024. You've probably broken even, maybe a little loss, maybe a little value. Overall, it ain't doing shit. It's a tough pill to swallow. Bitcoin is ripping new highs. It's pretty much almost 10x from its bottom. Nobody thought it was going to do it. 1,000% return since late 2022 after the FTX crash. For those that remember, you're not going to miss the alt season run. It's important to have some Bitcoin in your portfolio. You are not going to survive the crypto markets if you don't have some Bitcoin. It feels like you missed the boat. Get that mindset out of your head. This is really immature to think, oh, I'm too late. How do you know? You couldn't fathom it going from 15K to over 120K. So it's something to consider. Like that's real talk right there, man. Honestly, like most people should just be in Bitcoin. Why are you trying to mess with these altcoins? You're just trying to gamble. I understand you want to make a lot of money out of a little bit. Have some of your portfolio in Bitcoin. Gamble with the rest if you must. But understand what you're getting into. It might not work out. Stick with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I like Ethereum too. It's gotten the blessing from the SEC, the Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Maybe even Solana, since it got its ETF approved. So have some mix of the three, right? This is the volatility index of Bitcoin. Let's go to the weekly. You can see here, volatility of Bitcoin's going down. It's not as choppy and volatile. It's a bit more steady. The rises in price have been slow dips, slow rips, just navigating that sea of markets. And of course, we had that drawdown in Bitcoin, right? Went down to, what was it? 78K. But even that, very scary. Everyone was waiting for that big drop, that capitulation recovered. And it's like, okay, it was chopping for weeks. And I was buying. It popped up and it was like, is this a lower high or is it going to go higher? You could see it. The bid was strong. Buyers in the tape. Bitcoin volatility showing this could have a spike. This is more for selling options. Here you go. Bitcoin dominance charts. So many people have been wrong. People thought, I even thought alt season was going to start in November after the election. Dominance was dropping. I was afraid. I was like, oh shit, altcoin season is coming. You're probably wondering why. That means that's when our alts get to run 10, 50, 100x, 1000x. We get to make some money. The problem is that means we're near the end of the bull run. When alt season comes and it's done, the bull market is over. We're breaking new highs on Bitcoin, dominance dropping. I started buying altcoins, saw some alt runs, good times. Not as explosive as previous seasons. Bitcoin dominance right back. Look at this, ripped, sucking out liquidity. Give me my money back. Rolled into Bitcoin and it took back over, continued its climb. So this here is a good lesson in showing that nobody knows shit. We all thought alt season was coming when this happened. But look at that. Still lower high, should have break down. I was in this boat too. And bam, new high. Maybe it'll reject and come back down. Nope. There it goes. Making new high after new high. It's going to happen fast. You're going to panic. Throw all your plans out the window. FOMO into the altcoins. This is FOMO, panic, mass hysteria. That's going to create a huge alt season. Some will hold too long. A lot will lose a lot of money. A lot of newcomers will come in, flood in the space. They're just going to give their money away. It's going to be glorious for those prepared and know how to navigate, when to buy, when to sell, staying level-headed, ready to pivot. You shouldn't be heavy in altcoins. That's not an equity chart. It's all the money in point. What are you doing in altcoins right now? It's scary for those that don't own Bitcoin. Look at my last video. If you're in this dilemma, you don't own a coin, you want to buy that FOMO, watch it. Gives you answers. All right, let's look at Bitcoin. Where do I think Bitcoin is going? We got CPI today. I sold quite a bit. Paying myself from the Bitcoin I bought. Looking at the chart, you should probably buy around 110 and lower. We could go as low as the 90s. This would still be bullish. You could buy down here. Will we get down there? I do not know. Nobody knows. Understand the macro structure of Bitcoiner. Buying when the market is in this area here, it's a high odds trade. Rip in and flag in, rip again, flag down, rip. So they're probably going to flag again, right? It's probably going to do the same thing. Personality, different than previous cycles. Previous cycles, rip, rip, rip. Everyone sells, straight up, straight down. Institutional investors, more sophisticated. And we can see it clearly. Institutions buying. Retail, like your average Joe, don't care about crypto. Maybe hold some from last cycle, hoping it comes back. Mass graveyard of failed crypto investors buying the top, selling the bottom. They're not in yet. Eventually a stimulus will come. They'll rise like zombies with cash to throw at the markets. We're still on Bitcoin rising. Most of those zombies, they don't care to own Bitcoin. They're like, this is way too high. I didn't want it at 20K. Why would I buy it at 120? They're like, I'm just buying the top again. PTSD from last cycle. The last crash, FTX, wiping out thousands of 2022 was a bad year. Voyager, Celsius, FTX, Luna, it annihilated everyone to the point where it's like, I don't want to go into that wasteland. And when they see people playing with crypto, they laugh at there's so much being built. DeFi is growing, TVL is growing, institutions are trickling in, accumulating, building, growing at a rapid pace, but nobody sees it because everyone sees that nuclear wasteland, that Armageddon. You probably won't come back until Bitcoin is about to top. That's when it has its euphoric run. Will it happen? We don't know. This market structure, I could show this to a kid. Is it going up or down? It's going up. Perfect. Buy. DCA into it. Take some profits when you get a move like this, especially when you buy during those dips. full of fear and get rewarded, pay yourself. You don't have to trade actively. Nowhere I'm showing Fibonacci's and, hey, this is a retracement, this is the trend line, this is support and resistance. You don't need that for long-term investing. Blue chip assets, quality assets, long time horizons, and position accordingly. You don't have to jump into every hype play. You don't have to feel like you're missing out. Like you have to catch up and invest. People look at Bitcoin, they're like, oh my God, I missed this entire move. Now I need to make up those gains. Even worse, people start playing with leverage. They use options. You go on centralized exchanges and leverage up, trying to make it all in one trade. It doesn't work that way. I know we see in social media influencers showing us big P&Ls. For every one of those big P&Ls, there's a graveyard of investors that have failed. Slow and steady, long-term mindsets, quality assets, and then take 10% of your portfolio and gamble with it. You can make big gains. But if your whole portfolio is all coins, meme coins, your chances are small. You will waste a lot of time, even years. It's a nightmare. Take it easy. Good mindset. Straight and narrow when the opportunity presents itself. Pay yourselves when it gets euphoric. It's okay. All right. So if you guys want to join my Discord, link is in the description below. You can join for free. I talked about concentrated liquidity. I'm not here to sell you anything. You can do this on your own. Ask questions if you're interested. Thanks for watching. Take care. Peace.